everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Bisportuals, your new favorite sports podcast. I'm your host, Ryan.
I'm Cameron.
And I'm Kyle.
Thank you so much for joining us. We were off last week due to some extenuating circumstances, so we got a lot to talk about. A lot has happened in the sports world. None more important than a sport that we don't usually cover here on Bisportuals. John Cena has turned heel, and the world, I feel like, is not reacting enough to this. It's monumental. It's insane.
I thought the world was in a bad place prior to that happening, but that is the sign of the end times, genuinely. Like, things are going bad. Stock up on toilet paper. Like, do what you got to do, man.
You Can't See Me has sold out to Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and it's the end times. It's fucking awful. It's all I've been able to look at on Twitter right now, even though, like, legitimate NFL news is happening, both about the combine and at the combine, other news happening, which we'll talk about. But man, I usually don't care about the WWE, but John Cena went heel. What the fuck?
I thought it was funnier when he went Chinese.
But let's go ahead. Speaking of the combine, let's talk about the NFL. We are in the off season, but we like to do retrospectives here on Bisportuals. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look back, not at the play of this last NFL season, but something more important, and something my grandfather specifically is much more passionate about: the uniforms. Every year, NFL teams come out with these new uniforms, and my grandfather hates all of them because they weren't around when he started learning and playing football. But sometimes teams do those throwback jerseys. So we're going to take a look at some of the alternate jerseys, some of them new, some of them throwbacks, from the 2024-25 season. We've got 5 of them lined up here for you today, and we're going to rank them. Scale 1 to 10. 10 being we love these jerseys. They should be in regular rotations for these teams. Think elite jerseys. Think Chargers powder blue. That level of jersey. And then you've got the 1. You've got ones, which you should never see again. Think the Cleveland Brown all whites. These are the scales that we are working on. So let's go ahead. Let's hop right into our first jersey. We got a throwback here. Throwback coming out of the AFC West. We have the Denver Broncos throwback jersey. I think these were pretty clean. Cameron, what do you think about the Denver Broncos throwbacks and where you rank them?
Normally, I really like the orange and blue color palette together, like the Florida, but just the red stripe on top and the red accent on the helmet, I think kind of throws it off a little bit for me. I'm going to give this like a 6.
I'm not in the boat with the 6 here. I kind of agree. Like, the red doesn't complement very well, but I think that, like, all the other aspects of the jersey work really well together. The blue and white, like, shoulder stripe seamlessly meshes into the orange on the jersey. The number blocking is really good. The name blocking on the back is really good. Just in general, like, you could tell that they took some time on these this year and really try to make them as special as they could. So just in general, I really like them. I mean, I'm wearing orange, so that doesn't help my case here. But I really like them. I agree they're not perfect, so I gave them like an 8 out of 10. Just, there's room for growth, but you could tell the artisanship was there.
Yeah, I'm falling in 8-9 range here. I think I'd stick closer to the 8. Usually I hate like those kind of like the letter logos on helmets especially, but I don't know. That the D with the Bronco, it's clean. It's one of the only ones that I like of those. Like, I don't like the old Bucks logo on the side, the old Tampa logo. That one doesn't do it for me, but this Broncos logo does it for me. I think the rest of the color scheme is clean. I'm not so pressed about the red stripe. I think it doesn't fit perfect, but I don't think it throws off the ensemble at all. So yeah, I'm sticking in the 8-9 range for these. Let's move on to our next jersey. This one, not a throwback. New this year, following a trend, some might say, of jersey designs and jersey demands from fans. You see a lot of fan bases demanding this. We've got the all-black uniforms coming out of Detroit from the Lions this year. Kyle, you had a visceral reaction when I said it. Oh, where are we putting the All Blacks?
As my totally legit answer, I said -100 out of 10. But realistically, on the scale that you have set for us, this would be a 1 out of 10 in my book. And the main reason for that, just look at Jared Goff wearing these jerseys. Purely the definition of the opposite of aura. Like, he just looks, it doesn't, I feel like the color palette is not good. It doesn't work well together. I think an all black uniform can work well. But there are other franchises that probably could implement it a little bit better than the Detroit Lions. The main ones that come to mind, like the Ravens all black ones with the purple, the Steelers all black with the yellow. Like, I think that those two work really well. And the Lions tried to replicate some of that with the blue. And I think that maybe they have an opportunity to utilize that in a different way and just update the blue. That Honolulu blue does not work with the black, in my opinion. It's not appealing to the eyes. It is not complimenting to the players. Cameron is mouthing something to me. I'm going to say, go fuck yourself. But like, I just don't like it. And maybe that's my Minnesota bias in me, that I don't like the Lions, and anything that I see them as disgusting and yucky. But I truly feel that it doesn't complement their franchise in a good way. So that's where this is awful.
These are fucking awesome. These are electric. As a blue enjoyer myself, just the way the blue and the black together, it looks
Liberal.
so cool. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. This is fucking awesome. I'm going to give this a 9 only because it looks too close to the Panthers jerseys, which are probably my favorite, like, regular jerseys in the league.
Yes.
The metallic blue helmet. I don't know what you mean. Jared Goff looks fucking sick.
Let's
I
be
think
clear.
he might be a little too pale for it, but that's about it.
Let's be clear.
These
Let's
are
be
so
clear.
cool.
The Panthers jerseys are sick. The Black Panthers jerseys, those are sick. These suck ass. These are
Thank
awful.
you.
Here's why. I will second Kyle's point about this shade of blue. But in looking at these
I
pictures,
love that shade
I've
of blue.
realized it's great in their normal uniforms. Like the normal uniforms where it's blue and the steel gray are great. Here's my issue with this one. My real issue. It's way too shiny for an all black uniform.
Yes.
The gray is like sheen, fucking shiny as shit. If I'm gonna wear an all black uniform, it needs to be matte, color absorbent. It cannot be reflective like a fucking high vis vest. Okay.
I like it a little shiny. I think if it was completely matte, then that blue would look a little bad. It would need to be a little lighter.
No, it distracts from the whole point of having a black uniform is that it's dark and it's like it's
No,
not
but the
supposed-
contrast is awesome.
It's way too much. It's way too much. Are you kidding? You have this in
Flashy
objectively
plays, flashy boys.
objectively black uniforms, most instances are cool as shit. You know why? Because the entire ensemble is dark as opposed to this either the standard NFL uniforms where it's like white pants color top or color pants white top, full black, no shine, like those Ravens full black uniforms that have the weird alternate helmet logo, which I'm not a huge fan of, but still the scheme looks great. Or if you look at those Carolina Panthers all blacks, they're not shiny, especially around the shoulder where they get the stripes of color. They're not fucking high vis material. It's just matte dark colors and it looks sick on the Panthers, but when you do it like the Lions, you do it wrong. You're doing it wrong, Detroit, and that's why you didn't go to the Super Bowl this year.
Amen.
I said it.
Absolutely.
I had the
I
confidence
think
to
they
say
didn't
it.
go to the Super Bowl this year because Jaden Daniels is electric and Jared Goff is a little choky pants.
Ooh.
True. All right, let's go ahead, head back to the throwbacks. This one for a whole other fucking city, but when you steal a city's NFL franchise, you get their history. Just ask Minneapolis. The Tennessee Titans and their Oiler throwback uniforms. Back to before they were Tennessee Titans, they were the Houston Oilers, and then the franchise up and moved to Nashville. So, Cameron, how are we feeling about the Tennessee Houston Oiler throwbacks?
I hate to dead name you, Tennessee, but these Houston Oiler throwbacks are way better than your current jerseys. Your current jerseys are kind of like a little bit ass. There's just something so dull about them. These are like the baby blue, the white. the red. I'm gonna say something else about a different team with this color scheme, but these specific shades are awesome. I am not a huge fan of the red sleeves. I think if they were white, they would be cooler. But this is awesome. Houston Oilers, bring them back. Let's have 2 Houston teams.
That'd be crazy. The only other team
I'm
in
giving
the
this
NFL,
a 10, by the way.
the only other city in the NFL to have 2 teams. You get the New York, largest city in the country,
You mean New
in
Jersey?
New Jersey,
Yeah, New
Yeah.
Jersey.
and
Los
then
Angeles.
Houston. Sure, I forget the LA has
Yeah.
2 teams because it feels
Houston
like
is
LA
my
has
city.
no teams.
Well, granted, they stole those 2 teams from cities that actually deserved teams, but
Your mom feels like there aren't
Fuck you,
2
Stan
teams.
Kroenke.
What the
because
fuck,
she's
Cameron?
monogamous.
what the dude?
What the fuck?
I was going to agree with you on your Houston Oilers take that the jersey's sick. You know what? Now, fuck you. No, they just lost 2.5 points. No,
What do you mean?
because of that.
Wow, Cameron. Houston's
Fuck
going to be
you.
calling you. Well, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Tennessee's going to be calling you going, what the fuck did you never speak for us again? You lost us 2 points with Kyle.
For me, I totally agree. Like, I love these jerseys. That baby blue is perfect. They need to like patent it. They need to send it and ship it in more merchandise. Just because that shade is so cool. It works well with so many things. Just in general, it's pretty to look at. Also, they have a pretty quarterback, Will Levis, so it complements him pretty well.
Why is he pretty? Why is he pretty?
What the
Why
fuck?
is he
pretty
pretty
like a
compared to
girl.
the rest of the
He's-
NFL quarterbacks?
He's pretty like
What?
a girl. Cameron said
What?
it before. He's pretty like a girl.
Sure,
No, I did
sure.
not.
No
Not for
other,
Will Levis.
no
I
other
most
reason that
definitely
he's
did
pretty.
not.
No other reason.
No, he just loves mayonnaise. He's you could say that he's maybe a high IQ kind of guy in terms of beauty.
What the
Kyle, are you
fuck
being
are you
racist on my
talking about?
Sportuals?
No,
Say, what could
Are
you
you calling
possibly be saying,
Hector
Kyle?
be like a girl?
you need to go back to when we actually talked about QBs and their hotness, and my history will prove myself. I'm just saying, Will Levis is a pretty man. We didn't talk about Will Levis at the time,
We
and I
did
would like
not
to allude
talk
to the
about
fact,
Will Levis.
and I would like to bring up the fact that Will Levis is a pretty man. But
Because he's
beyond
white?
that, no.
I think that's
I'm
the reason. I think that's
I'm
the
so
reason, Cameron. I think
disappointed
you're
in you,
onto
Kyle.
something.
I'm so disappointed in you.
all right.
Jesus
All right,
Christ.
fuck this. All right, the Oilers jersey's get a 0 now. Fuck you guys. I was gonna say a 10, knocked it down to a 7.5. Now it's a 0.
These jerseys are fucking great. These are great jerseys. I'd give them a 10. These are elite. These are up there with ones that we unfortunately will not be talking about this episode, specifically because I don't believe they wore them this year. But the Buccaneer creamsicles, they're up there. They're up there with the Bucks creamsicle unis in elite uniform territory. All right, moving on. We've got another, in my opinion, elite. I'll say right now, this is a 10 out of 10 uniform. This is one of the greatest uniforms in NFL history for one of the worst teams in sports, in American sports. I fucking hate them and I despise them with every inch of my being. But the Philadelphia Eagles Kelly Greens are almost unrivaled in uniform perfection. Mwah. Chef's kiss. Kyle, do you feel the same here?
Yeah, I regret not buying a Jason Kelsey Kelly Green jersey because it was just a beautiful combo. Like Kelsey worked so well on it, 62 worked so well on it. Everything about the Kelly Greens is magnificent. So yes, this was a easy peasy 10 out of 10.
I'm also going to give it a 10 because they are all dressed like Luigi from Mario. And shout out Luigi Mangione. Free Luigi Mangione.
Free my
Thank
boy.
you,
Yeah.
Philadelphia Eagles, for representing him.
Free my boy Luigi Mangione. He did
10 out of
nothing wrong.
10.
Finally, we're going to go ahead and move on to the final throwback here of our list. We've got the New England Patriots, their Pat the Patriot throwback uniforms. I have a take on these, but Cameron, I want you to go ahead first. Pat the Patriot, where are we slotting him in?
I'm going to give him a strong 1 to a light 2. Why is there just a whole ass dude on their helmet? That is
That's
so
gay
fucking...
as shit. That's why it should be
Look.
higher. It should be way higher.
No,
It's
but
representation.
But it's like a full ass man. Like it just looks so bad, and those colors together just I
Yeah, I was
do
gonna
not
say
like
like
these. They
it's
don't look good in game. They don't look good in photo shoots. Just
yeah. I was gonna say that they're like too complicated. Like there's too much going on for the uniforms for an NFL uniform. The one thing is that the New York Giants throwbacks this year were way worse. Like their century
true,
throwback one.
true.
So that's where I didn't want to give them a one. Because like in terms of throwbacks, they weren't the worst out of the pack. They were not good. Just straight up, they were not good. But they weren't the worst. So I saw them at like a 4. I was leaning a little bit towards a 5, but I think like 4 is probably a little more reasonable. Again, I agree. One huge man on there, it doesn't make sense. The colors clash. Nothing works well together. It's too complicated. They try too hard. IMO.
Look, putting a whole ass man on the helmet, I have to bump it up for representation. That Pat the Patriot, gay as hell. He looking fruity as shit, bending down like that, grabbing a
Kind of
ball.
looking a little fruity as
So
shit.
I gotta bump it. I gotta bump it for the representation. That doesn't excuse the fact that the only person who has ever looked good in these uniforms is Ramondre Stevenson, and whenever he wears these, he fumbles the ball.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's even with the representation points. These are sitting at a 3, maybe. I couldn't put them any lower because, like Kyle talked about, there are throwbacks that should truly never see the light of day again. Those Giants ones are one of them. I would also like to shout out what I believe to truly be the worst uniform in NFL history,
Is it
which
the Green
is
Bay Packer one?
The Packers Acme throwbacks are
It's not.
awful.
There's no semblance of a team on that jersey, like at all.
No,
It's blue with a yellow circle. What the fuck is that?
Yeah,
and brown. It's
Yeah.
bad. It's unusable, but they did not wear them this year smartly. So we could not include them on this list. But a special shout out to how shitty those fucking Packers uniforms are. They're
And also,
awful.
just fuck the Packers. I'll say it.
Sure.
I
This
would.
guy's saying what we're all thinking.
I would tend to align with your statement.
Thanks.
As we finish up this retrospective on the previous year's journeys, both of them, both of the things that were the previous year, we look forward to the next year, the upcoming free agency. The franchise tag has, as of release, has opened up. As of time of recording, has, I believe, just like today, opened up for tagging.
Well, no, I thought
And
the
there are
deadline was
moves.
tomorrow. The
Is
deadline
it?
Tomorrow.
to tag people is tomorrow.
Trey Smith got tagged a few days ago.
You're totally correct, and I forgot about that because I read that and I was like, oh damn, guess he's not a Minnesota Viking.
No, it's absolutely fair because like everybody waits until like literally the last day to tag people, other than like sickos. So that's why it feels like it's just opening up, but everybody just waits until the very end.
So the tag is about to close. We're about to open up legal tampering and true free agency as we move into draft season as well. And there have been some moves. There have been some big moves. Some moves to contenders, some moves to not contenders, some moves to teams that want to be contenders but are actually just delusional and don't know what they're talking about. But let's start with a team that made it far last year. In fact, NFC Championship game far last year. The Washington Commanders, formerly known as the greatest name on earth, the Washington football team, have
And no other
signed
name.
no other name ever.
I won't dead name them. I did dead name the Titans.
They have traded for Deebo Samuel of the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the full trade details are what they are, but the gist of it is Deebo to the Commanders, and the Commanders sent a 5th rounder to San Francisco. So, Kyle, I want to start with you. Does this move the needle for the Washington Commanders in terms of winning a Super Bowl?
Winning a Super Bowl, I say no. Getting to a Super Bowl, I say yes. I think that it could propel them in like legit NFC championship contention. Like I could see them taking a trip to the Super Bowl next year with this. It definitely elevates their offense. But I don't think it's a significant jump to like finish the job necessarily. I think they still have a couple key pieces their defense did really well this year. Their offense was electric, and adding this is going to make it even more. But just in general, I think they just need to time the ship a little bit for a couple of the key agents that are leaving, and just again solidify their defense again. So the one thing that I will credit them for is how the fuck did they just only send 1 5th-round pick, and it's this year. It's not like a long-term asset. It is literally like this year. So like genuinely, the 49ers could have gotten a comp pick if they just let Debo walk, and it probably would have been a 4th rounder. They could have gotten a 4th rounder from the Bills or the Steelers or anybody. Like
They could have gotten more from the Bills to the Steelers.
Yeah. And I feel like they even could have gotten more from the Commanders. I understand that Debo doesn't want to play for you, and your contract situation just in general, like your cap situation is shit, because you're paying everybody way too much money. So I understand the situation that the Niners are in, but they just need to be able to self-reflect and say, hey, Debo is a quality candidate. If we send out a package, like genuinely a 4th-round pick from Buffalo for Debo Samuel, you're getting technically more value. Obviously, I'm not a GM and I can't decide the value of a 4th round or a 5th round pick. But I would feel that there's probably some more value that they could have gotten back for this. Obviously, credit to Washington for making this deal happen, because it's a great deal for them. But for the 49ers, I sit there and I scratch my head like, what the hell?
Yeah, no, who's their GM? Is it John Lynch?
John Lynch.
Yeah, did he only make one phone call and the Commanders just lowballed him and he said okay? Because that's
Nico Harrison did.
That's the only thing I can think happened. Like, I've been seeing a lot of Debo is washed allegations, and I think he will look a lot better when he has an actual quarterback. I am a Brock Purdy hater. Jaden McDaniels is so much better.
Jaden McDaniels is so much better.
Yes. Jaden Daniels.
They're both much better.
Jaden McDaniels is elite. Holy shit, he's been going on a tear.
Offensive jump in the month of February, but we'll get there.
Yeah. I am excited to see him play along Terry McLaurin. I think this is going to be an electric offense. I think Debo gives a lot of versatility. I don't know if it pushes them over the edge. I think most of the issues they need to fix are in their defense, and we'll see how they do free agency and whether they can also get Myles Garrett. I think this is a good move, but it's not the championship winning move.
Yeah, I tend to agree with both of you here. I think this it will improve Washington's offense. He comes in and becomes wide receiver 2 behind Terry McLaurin.
Yeah,
I think he's better than Olamide Zaccheaus. No disrespect. All-time NFL name team. I love Olamide Zaccheaus. But behind Terry McLaurin, it's Olamide Zaccheaus. Didn't they deal Curtis Samuel? He's not on the team anymore.
Yeah, he's an Eagle right now.
Yeah. And I can't remember who their third wide receiver was this year, but it's another guy who I think they drafted and they developed and is like a solid talent, but he's not bringing anything over the top. You still have Terry McLaurin there for contested catches. I believe it was
Laquan Treadwell.
No, it wasn't.
No, I don't believe it was. Last time I remember he was in Jacksonville. I don't know if he went anywhere after Jacksonville.
He was the wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville for a minute there.
Yeah, Cameron, you could be the wide receiver 1 in Jacksonville.
Really?
No, because Brian Thomas Jr. is there. But if he wasn't there, I believe in you.
I don't know. I'm old enough to be the GM there.
You're old enough. I think you're older than the Jets' real GM, which is Woody Johnson's grandson.
Yeah. He's like 17, 18.
Yeah. But...
So okay, sorry, I had to look it up. Laquan Treadwell is currently an Indianapolis Colt.
That so checks out.
It does.
He seems like at this point in his career, he would be an Indianapolis Colt.
That turns me on a little bit.
That gets you hard? Gets you going?
Yeah.
Cameron's camera is going no lower for the rest of the episode. He's just going to be thinking about Laquan Treadwell being an Indianapolis Colt. Catching balls from Anthony Richardson.
Oh, he's not catching shit from Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson can't throw.
Well, no, the problem is he can throw. He just can't throw to a specific location.
Well, yeah, and Laquan is kind of a deep ball specialist.
Yeah, he specializes in taking balls deep.
Yeah, you could say.
Yeah,
You could say.
I like this visual.
But you get elite contested catch out of Terry McLaurin, catch an elite yak, formerly elite yak out of Debo Samuel. I don't think he's the same guy he was, but should be good for the Commanders. I don't think this turns them into the favorites in the NFC by any means, though.
No.
However, that's not the only move in the NFC. In fact, let's go ahead and talk about our very own Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings, as of just before this podcast, previously it had been rumored that they were emphatically out on the idea of franchise tagging Sam Darnold. As of about like 30 to 45 minutes ago, it is all but confirmed that they will not be franchise tagging Sam Darnold. They will let him go to free agency. I remember one insider described the situation as extremely fluid. So I believe Minnesota is still searching avenues to try to get Sam to stay, but they're also very ready to let him go and pursue other options at quarterback. So Cameron, I want to start with you. They're not going to tag him. That means they're probably not going to do a sign and trade situation with Sam Darnold. So it's either going to be Sam Darnold is staying in Minnesota on a new deal or he is walking in free agency. Do you think this is a smart move by the Minnesota Vikings, and where do you think Sam Darnold's future is?
I'm gonna take a little bit of an alternative take here. I think it's because they believe that Sam Darnold could actually get more than the franchise tag on the free agent market, and they wanted to let him do that. There's a reason the Vikings ownership and the Vikings coaching staff and everyone was rated like best of the best in the NFL players report card for each franchise. I think the Raiders are going to pay more than the franchise tag for Sam Darnold, and official prediction: lock it, sign it, ship it. Yeah, I
That's
think. Yeah, I JJ McCarthy. I'm excited to see him play.
that's big. I mean, I know the cap increase was pretty big this year, but
Yeah,
currently the franchise tag this year for quarterbacks, I believe, is set at around 42 million.
mm-hmm.
I want to say.
I can see them giving him 45 1 year.
I was gonna say I don't think they're gonna go anywhere past like 45 because the most we're looking at, right? Dak Prescott 55 million is the ceiling right now, and Sam Darnold's not getting a Dak Prescott contract.
Yeah,
Nobody
but
should give him a Dak Prescott contract.
if they're dumb, they're gonna be like, "Well, guess who was the better quarterback last year?"
The one that played more games. But I see what you mean, and it's like I could see. To be fair, if any team is going to give him a real contract with real quarterback money, when he, in all honesty, probably shouldn't be paid that much, it is the Las Vegas Raiders, especially now that they missed out on Matt Stafford after tampering and causing a brawl in an Indianapolis Starbucks over it.
Hey,
free my man rap sheet. Fuck.
Let's go, Rap.
Yeah, there was
Jordan
no
Schultz.
tampering. There was no tampering.
Fuck
The
Jordan
only guy
Schultz.
who tampered was Jordan Schultz's dad.
True.
True.
That's what you get for being a CEO of Starbucks. Bum ass motherfucker. Fuck the Schultz. All my homies hate the Schultz. Plus, Fox. He was the Fox News insider. Fox News had all that, or not Fox News, Fox Sports. Fox Sports had all that stuff with Joy Taylor and Skip Bayless and all that. Just a rotten network inside out, except for Colin Cowherd and First Things First, which are both. Colin Cowherd is not perfect, but First Things First is a perfect show, and I will accept no criticism. I love that show so much. Kevin Wildes, I love you. Kiss me on the mouth, even though you're a married man.
Whoa, homewrecker! Holy shit! What the fuck did I just hear?
It would be
God damn,
not.
no,
there would
what?
be nothing behind it.
Whoa.
There would be nothing behind it. Are you kidding me? I respect Kevin Wildes way too much to do anything to ruin that man's life long term. But I think for that moment there would be a spark, and then never again.
That quip just completely changed my personal opinion on you as a person.
Whoa, that's tough. Ryan has kissed more men
The-
on the
the-
mouth than I can count, so it's okay.
Well, yeah, but no married men. I hope.
We don't know that.
I don't believe I have.
Well, then don't change that, and we'll be good.
Cameron, I don't know why this is the issue that you're gonna die on a hill on.
Right.
You said way worse shit.
On this podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know
You
what
didn't believe
mean.
in the fucking Warriors. You don't get to talk.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But back to the topic at hand. Kyle, I want to go to you.
Yeah.
Vikings, Sam Darnold, walk. How you feel?
I just can't agree with the word emphatically in this situation. Like this entire offseason, the entire season, like obviously, you got to ride with the guy at number 1 for your QB room. So I can understand like, hey, we're ride or die with saying we want what's best for him. But like Cameron was saying, like we are so great at the player unity. And we were like, again, we were so bought in on Sam to just flip the switch and say, we are emphatically out with Sam. We don't want him here. We're not doing anything to help him out. It just can't be emphatically. Like I can understand that we don't want to pay him the franchise tag money of $42 million. I think that's reasonable. But emphatically out. And again, this whole time they're saying we would love to have him back. We would love to have him back. We need to figure something out. Like it would be a great situation. But again, Cam is saying like we need to look out for Sam Darnold. And I think that there's an opportunity that he can make that ballpark of the franchise tag, like anywhere from 40 to 45 million. Realistically, I think that he's probably going to look for a more long-term deal and maybe get like 2 years at like 35 mil a year, and again, kind of lock something down a little more long-term than just another
It's
1 year
the
deal.
The Baker deal. The Baker deal.
So I could see even like Las Vegas doing a more long-term deal at a little bit lower price per year. I could also see like the Jets, because obviously they don't have a quarterback right now. I don't think they have a quarterback on their roster.
The Jets?
Yeah, reunion time, bring them back.
Jets,
Fuck
Jets.
No. That would be... Do you think
would be
Sam
bad for
Darnold
him.
would take that deal?
Jets,
Go back to New York?
He could. I don't think he will,
No,
but I could see
that place
an
ruined
opportunity
his
there.
life.
Yes, it did.
Jets.
I agree. The other team that I had come to mind was like the Titans. We were talking about them earlier, and nothing wrong with Will Levis. But they also
Except
Something
all the
wrong with
football
Will
things.
Levis. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Except for actually playing quarterback. So I think like they could use that. Granted, I don't think that is they're a team that is not just a quarterback away. So that's where I could see Sam kind of coming in as like, hey, I can be a solid quarterback for you as you're trying to figure out your identity as an offense, and build something for him for a couple of years. Like I could see Sam long term in Tennessee to help him out. I don't think that they'll end up doing it, but I think that could be a good situation for him. I also don't know what the Tennessee cap looks like, but I don't think they really have anybody on their books right now. So I feel like they could probably make some magic happen for Sam, and give him that ballpark of that 40 mil. So again, I don't really have like a solid prediction. Obviously everybody's kind of leaning that he's going to go to the Raiders, so I could see it happening. That's probably where I'll put my money. But yeah, I can't see the Vikings being just so out on Sam.
Well, either the Vikings are going to sign him to a deal, keep him here, or they're going to let him walk in free agency. I think they end up letting him walk. I didn't think of the reason Cameron said of like they think he can get more money on the free agent market than he can on the tag. I think that may be doing right by the player, but it's not exactly doing right by the team. Simply for compensation reasons. You can get more out of a sign and a tag and trade than you can out of compensatory pick for letting him walk. You're still going to get a comp pick, but if you want to look at the team has needs that draft picks can solve.
Maybe they're not huge on this draft class.
Nobody's huge on the quarterbacks, but there are good prospects, especially along the interior offensive line. There's a lot of good running backs that you could get in the early 3rd round, late 2nd round. You'd probably get a 3rd round pick compensatory from letting him walk.
I was to say this year, We only have 3 picks. So we definitely need to stock up on some assets there if we wanted to elevate the team in that way. Sorry, I think we have a 4th because
Yeah,
I think
well,
we got a comp pick from our free agent leaves last year.
to be fair, it's like they haven't said they're completely out on re-signing Sam Darnold. They're just not going to use the tag, so the possibility of a sign and trade is still there.
Yeah, I just think the tag was their leverage. I don't think they're going to sign and trade when Sam can just go sign elsewhere, and he's got to look out for himself. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how that shakes down. One team that is not afraid to use the franchise tag is the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals have officially franchise tagged wide receiver 2 behind Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Their intent has always been to try to keep this core of skill position players together in Jamar Chase, who is now entering the 5th year of his rookie deal. There is not a deal done yet for his future, and reports have come out that say that Jamar Chase's camp and the Bengals front office are not close at all on coming to a deal. So the goal has been to keep Jamar, T, and Trey Hendrickson together and try to make a run for it. Cameron, I want to start with you. Do you think that keeping T. Higgins is going to make it so the Bengals are able to win it all next year like they wanted to?
I think so. I think it's a good move. I think he is one of, if not the best wide receiver 2 in the league. Maybe behind Cooper Kupp and, in my opinion, Jordan Addison. But I don't see any reason why they wouldn't want to re-sign him. I think they want to give all the money they can to Jamar, and then maybe if they have money next offseason, give it to T. Higgins. But those two are electric together. I don't see any reason to break them up. I do really hope they get to a deal with Jamar Chase. I hope they understand that they had to pay him best receiver in the league money because he is the best receiver in the league.
Jamar's going to go in asking, hey, what's Justin Jefferson's contract? All right, bump every number by 10%. And that's where we'll start.
Yeah. Like, it's the right move for the Bengals. I think their offense was not the problem last year. Obviously, they had bad games, but they weren't the reason why they were in the standing position that they ended in. They were keeping them in games. They kept it competitive, but their defense was truly the reason behind it. So it makes sense in a strategic way to keep this offensive core together because Joe Burrow loves throwing it to Jamar. He loves throwing it to T. Higgins. So if you're keeping your quarterback happy, you're keeping your wide receivers happy with money, then more power to you. I just hope that obviously, again, like Jamar deserves a payday, a hefty payday. So as long as this move doesn't inhibit that, then there's an opportunity that if you don't pay Jamar this year, that he walks, and then T. Higgins is pissed and he walks. Obviously, you can keep franchise tagging and going back and forth, but if you don't pay Jamar this year, you're losing one of them.
Oh, they're out of tags for T. Higgins.
Yeah, so
they cannot. He got Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
Like Kirk Cousins could no longer get franchise tag. T. Higgins is for the rest of his career can no longer be put under the franchise tag.
That's right. So again,
you have no leverage anymore.
Exactly. So again, for this year, it makes sense, but they just need to have some plan in place for the future to keep them together other than just playing the tag card. And then also you got to figure out a way, whether it's free agency or the draft to bolster up that defense a little bit more. And I can see them being back in their contention and, they were in the Super Bowl just 3 years ago. So I think that they're trying to get back on that track. And this is the first step to that. I agree. But the one thing that I worry about for the Bengals is that they don't have this long-term plan for it, because at least from what we've seen right now, it doesn't seem like they do.
In a vacuum, I think this was the right move. If this were an NFL team in this situation specifically, I could see this being the right move. But this isn't an NFL team. It's the Cincinnati Bengals.
I think they're an NFL team.
The Cincinnati Bengals do business a little differently, which is they do business worse because they're the Bengals. And here's my concern. I think you have set up an unsustainable system. The Bengals, if you look at like star talent, they have a bad habit of letting them play out the entirety of their rookie contract before getting a deal done, which just makes the price go higher. So then the question becomes, if you sign, that means next offseason, you're going to, if you want to keep the core together, you're going to have to sign Jamar Chase to probably, what's Justin Jefferson getting, 35? 40?
Yeah, it was 4 years, 140. So I think it's 35.
If he's getting 35 a year, Jamar Chase is going to make 4 years, 38 million, 37 million a year. I'd say around there, maybe 40 million a year, which would be crazy, but he's earned every penny.
Even just the 35 million and one, the Bengals should at least be willing to give him that.
Oh, if you get Jamar Chase on a contract for $35 million and 1 cent, you give him that contract yesterday.
Should give it to him last year.
With the cap having gone up, that now sits less painfully on the books. They should take that deal. But the more they wait, the higher the price tag for Jamar is going to go. Because as it is every offseason, there's going to be some wide receiver this offseason that gets an insane contract. There always is. There's always one. Remember Christian Kirk got like 4 years, $130 million like 3 years ago. And we were all like, what the fuck are you doing, Jacksonville? That's just the wide receiver market. And now that the cap has gone up even more, the question becomes, can you form a winning full 52-man roster, especially with the state you're currently at on the defense, when you are paying 2 skill position players almost $70 million? Because if you give Jamar Chase 40, let's say you give him $40 million a year, current going wide receiver 2 rate is sitting low 20s. So you're going to give T. Higgins probably 25, 26, maybe push like high 20s. Can you pay $70 million a year to 2 guys when that is your defense? There was a take I heard, and it, on its surface, seems absurd, but I think it is what a reasonable organization would have done, except for one thing. If there was not already the pre-existing connection between Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase from college, if they were like just 2 really good players who didn't have that unique and special connection that they do, sign T. Higgins, trade Jamar Chase. You can get 2 firsts out of him and you can rebuild that defense, and T. Higgins is not a bad wide receiver. But you can't do that because Jamar Chase has that connection, which means you're going to have to sign Jamar Chase. And now you've put yourself in the hole of you have to sign T. Higgins. Otherwise, you let him walk and get nothing. I can only see this working out positively for the Bengals if they trade T. Higgins before the trade deadline this year. I think they trade him to the New England Patriots either during the free agency period or before the trade deadline, maybe like week 3 or week 4 of the season. Because whether it's this year or next year in free agency, T. Higgins will be a New England Patriot. That's my guess, is that T. Higgins will be a New England Patriot. It's just whether the Bengals are going to get something out of it or if they're going to let him walk while still having a shitty defense and paying a lot of money to a few skill position players.
Why that team in particular?
Because New England is looking for an elite wide receiver 1 who can dominate on the offense because they need tools for Drake May. This year, they're probably not going to get that elite wide receiver 1 because they're either going to get Abdul Carter if he falls, or they're going to get Travis Hunter, who is going to primarily be a cornerback and like a 3rd down elite wide receiver, but they're not going to make him a wide receiver 1 on that offense when he's going to be one of the best CB2s in the NFL on the other side of Christian Gonzalez. I just think, and they have the money to pay him what he wants.
Also, I thought, isn't T. Higgins from the Northeast? Like, or am I
Unsure.
misremembering? Because I
Honestly,
thought that was
no
kind of
fucking
like the
clue.
initial rumor mill for was like, well, he's kind of going to a team that like he grew up and respected. Obviously, they need him, or like they're looking for a guy like him, and so it's like a not like a hometown reunion, but it was like a it would make sense for him. It would be more satisfying for him, and then they could pay him the money that he's looking for. So it was like a win-win. I thought I saw
Very
that
well
somewhere.
could be.
I could just totally be misremembering.
I'm unsure on that. I just know football wise, it makes great sense for the Patriots. You can pay him. If the Bengals play this wrong, which I think they will, you can get him without giving up major assets. I think New England would be foolish to not try to pursue T. Higgins.
Okay, I was just
That's
straight
fair.
up wrong on my part. He's from Tennessee.
Kyle being wrong? What? Huh?
Never seen that one before.
And it definitely won't happen ever again.
Not especially on our next segment. Just kidding. Kyle has something to talk about.
I'll give you a little behind the scenes audience on this one. Before we do our show, before we press record and we go live, we do a little rundown of what the episode is going to look like, structure wise, this, that, and the other thing. Kyle made a specific point. He wanted to talk about this during the episode. And who are we here on Bisportuals to deny a man so fervent in his beliefs, his platform, and this opinion? So please, Kyle, go ahead. The floor is yours.
So just in this cycle this year, I've kind of come to the realization of something. And specifically the NFL Combine and how we kind of view prospects. Obviously, from a NFL like GM or coach standpoint, the Combine makes sense. Like you get to see these guys in person, you get to talk to them. You get your team meetings with the guys that you've seen on tape all year long. It's great to maybe see them perform a little bit physically. But personally, I think that the Combine is overrated. You're seeing these guys in a vacuum. Obviously, like, you watched them all in college, you watched them play football, in a team environment, and get the ball moving and, show their stuff and show their actual football talents in a pressure situation. Granted, the pressure of it can depend on the person. Again, if you're playing for NDSU, that's different than if you're playing for Alabama. But that's where like I can understand like it's fun to see these guys come together and work almost on the same level, but you're not seeing them play football. You're seeing them physically perform. It's purely just a workout, and you can only judge so much on it. Obviously, again, like we look at Ashton Johnson, we look at Shedeur Sanders that weren't really participating in the combine and really just going for like the medicals and team evaluations. So for these other guys, it is an opportunity for them to show their stuff, but a lot of the time, like their combine performance doesn't actually impact how they become as an NFL player. There's not a lot of like huge risers in the combine. So I'm going to say it. I think the combine is a little overrated. Just do the team meetings. Again, the rumor mill still flies from that of like, well, hey, the Vikings had a meeting with Ashton Johnson. Like, you can still talk about it there. Like, I just think that the whole NFL combine process is a bit overrated, but it is not as overrated as a college pro day.
Just really quick, I don't think, or I agree with you in the sense that it's overrated in like creating risers in the draft, but I do think it's a good indicator of weaknesses for players, which is why I do like it.
Mm-hmm. Again, like we saw like with Abdul Carter here, like, the fracture in his foot that he needs surgery on. Like I think the medical aspect of it is really important. The actual human being part of it with like your team meetings and the evaluations there is very important. But again, like you look at the wide receiver group and they're all within, half a second of each other in their 40 time, or really like, 0.2 seconds of each other. It's like, is that really going to be a difference maker on the field? And again, it's cool to see like when records get broken. Again, it was like last year was Xavier Worthy. It's like, it's cool to see that like after the fact if they post a clip on Instagram. But I'm not going to sit there every year and hope and pray that a record gets broken. Like it's I don't think it's worth the fans' time. Obviously, again, you got to milk as much money as you can. I respect the NFL for doing what they can to grab as much cash. But it just
you watch speedrunning live streams?
Yes, I do.
I'm not just gonna sit there and hope the record gets
your entire argument has just been collapsed upon yourself.
You weren't supposed to talk about that.
All right, let's talk about the NBA. So we've got it on another screen right now. But this is NBA Immaculate Grid Tac-Toe. If you're not familiar, the NBA Immaculate Grid is a game that's available in multiple different places online. It's a 3x3 square with 3 categories listed at the top and 3 listed at the side. And you have to name a player that fits every intersection of that grid. Usually you would get points based on how rare the player you name is. But this one, we're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to play tic-tac-toe with it. So it is the same shape as a tic-tac-toe board. If Cameron and Kyle can name a player that fits that spot, they will get to put their X or their O in that specific location. Of course, normal tic-tac-toe rules apply. First three in a row wins. We can draw on this. So any questions before I reveal the grid? I'll start with Kyle this time. Here is the grid. Along the top, we have NBA champion.
Sorry, I just saw the last
first round draft pick, and has been on a famous NBA podcast. And then along the left, we have played for Milwaukee, led the league in assists, and played with Jimmy Butler. So let's start with Kyle.
I'm going to say played for Milwaukee, has been on a famous NBA podcast. I'm going to say Patrick Beverley.
Patrick Beverley frequents the famous NBA podcasts.
He also has his own famous NBA podcast.
Indeed. He's got to do the circuit now that he's not playing fucking basketball anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But that will get you your first spot on the grid. Cameron?
An NBA champion that played with Jimmy Butler just happens to be named Jonathan Kuminga the Cumbucket.
Yeah.
That is correct. He is an NBA. I can't. That nickname is so fucking
It's so good.
Awesome. So fucking awesome and cool.
Okay. That's what I meant. Kyle, go ahead. Hop right back.
I'm not going to go for a deep cut on this one. For NBA champion and played for Milwaukee, I'm going to say Chris Middleton.
Chris Middleton does satisfy the category.
Well, you know who was a first-round draft pick for the Milwaukee Bucks?
Do tell.
Dirk Nowitzki.
I'll double check that one. I'm almost. I know he wasn't drafted by Dallas. Yes, he was the 9th overall pick selected by the Milwaukee Bucks.
You guys don't know ball like me.
That's very good, Cameron.
That's not
very
even
good.
a deep pull.
I was going to go
Kyle
Kuzma. I was going to go Kyle Kuzma because he was a first round pick and he has played for the Bucks.
Well, this one was a first. Yeah.
Well, Kyle, it is your turn.
I do love how we're both avoiding the led the league in assists one. Yikes. First round draft pick, played with Jimmy Butler, is going to be a Mr. Andrew Wiggins.
Andrew Wiggins slots in right there. I say, yeah, you're both avoiding the led the league in assists. And honestly, that's fair. Can be tough. There are some there's some good names here that exist, but they're tough pickups. Cameron?
Well, just an easy one. First round draft pick, led the league in assists, Trae Young.
That is correct. Trae Young has led the league in assists and was a first round draft pick, not of the Atlanta Falcons, but
Falcons.
now it looks like they won that trade.
It was not the Atlanta Falcons.
The Atlanta Hawks.
You're correct.
Different bird.
Different bird,
But also still not a draft pick of the Atlanta Hawks. They won that trade though. Kyle, it goes to you.
Okay, I think I hope that this is the right answer. But played with Jimmy Butler, has been on a famous NBA podcast. It's Jeff Teague, because Jeff Teague was on the Timberwolves at the same time.
Yeah, Jeff Teague played with Butler on the Timberwolves, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I know he'd been on so many of those fucking podcasts.
I think he has his own podcast.
I'd buy it, but he's also, I'm not a Jeff Teague fan, and so whenever I see those clips come up, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I think they're funny sometimes.
All right, Cameron.
Chris Paul's got to have been on a podcast.
You would think.
If any, no, he has, because I think
check.
I guess, is LeBron's like barbershop thing, is that technically a podcast? Because I think he was on that.
No.
Because that was on like HBO or something.
No, that does not count. However, he has been on the podcast format show of a famous NBA player.
That's a
Kyle, if
technicality
you
I've
can,
never heard one.
Kyle, if you can name the player, I will give this to you instead.
A podcast format. What was it? You said a podcast format show?
It's a show that has a podcast format with a famous NBA player. I guarantee you know this player.
Is it Kevin Garnett?
It is not Kevin Garnett. Chris Paul was on...
Podcast P?
No, he was on Dinner with DeMar.
Oh.
Dinners with DeMar DeRozan's show. This was December of last year.
Oh, dang. That was recent.
All right, Kyle,
I figured he was going to be on like
an NBA
KG's.
champion?
That led the league in assists.
Yes. I can. He led the league 3 times in assists in the 2010s. I feel like other than Chris Paul, one of the last true point guards.
Did Dwayne Wade lead the league in assists?
Dwayne Wade did not lead the league in assists. That means, Cameron, it goes to you with the chance to lock it up. NBA champ who led the league in assists.
Did LeBron ever lead the league in assists?
Let me double check.
There's a chance. I don't know if he did.
2019, 2020.
Fuck.
LeBron led the league in assists.
Who
That
the
was
other
not-
guy?
I was looking at Rondo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Same team.
yeah.
I was thinking that Lakers team. I was like, who is their point guard?
Oh, I was thinking Celtics Rondo
Yeah.
when he
I-
was really good, and
I
Paul
was
Pierce
thinking-
shit himself.
I was thinking the Lakers team, and I was like, who's their point guard? And I was like, probably LeBron.
No, but Cameron, with that, you got all 3 of the led the league in assists category, which of course by definition means you got 3 in a row. You did win this NBA Immaculate Grid.
For those who
Congratulations.
don't think I know old people who led the league in assists, shout out Oscar Robertson, shout out John Stockton, the 2 least deep cuts you could possibly name.
There's a less deep cut you could have named. Magic Johnson.
Magic
It's a deep cut for me.
Johansson.
Yeah, because you left him off, you fucker.
Who's Magic Johansson?
Scarlett's great grandfather. He was played in the NBA.
He must be old as shit.
Hey, he's fucking agent. Still alive though.
Asian?
Still
Come
alive
on.
by the miracle of modern medicine. Don't ask why.
Hallelujah.
Okay.
All right. That completes our NBA Immaculate Grid Tac-Toe. However, since we weren't on last week, we've got a lot of basketball to talk about. Looking at the top of the East, Cleveland now sits almost 8 full games ahead of the Celtics in the East. I believe it sits at 7.5 games right now.
Mm.
Can anyone touch Cleveland in the regular season? And more importantly, come playoff time, should these Cavaliers still fear the Boston Celtics? Kyle, I want to start with you on this.
I don't say fear. And the only reason for that is the most recent matchup with the Cavs and the Celtics. When the Celtics were up, they were talking shit. They were doing their best. You know, again, it was like, 4 minutes into the first quarter? Oh, it was like 25-3. And they're like, fuck out of here. Like, you can't do that and then lose.
Jason Tatum tried aura farming and then fucking
failed.
lost
And,
aura.
And it made me so happy to see it. But yeah,
It made
this
you
Cavs
happy. Think of how it
Yeah.
made me.
I know. I was thinking of you when I saw that. But like, it was so nice to see. These Cavs are just on fire. And again, it's fun basketball to watch. I said that earlier on in our podcast, but it's fun basketball. They're playing with so much energy. They rally around each other. They have a great rotation. Like, everything about it, when you watch it, you smile. It's great basketball. It's so good to watch. I legitimately, I want to book it and ship it, but I'm scared to. But I do think that the Cavs are going to be in the NBA Finals this year. They look that dominant. And truly, like, in the East, the only real other contender is the Celtics. Like, you know, the Knicks were up there, But again, we talked about it in our last episode that like they're going to be running out of gas here soon. Like just it's that Tom Thibodeau system. I could see a really great matchup for the Celtics and the Knicks in the Eastern Conference semifinals. I don't see the Knicks making it there. And then you go down the list. How like I do want to give a quick shout out to the Pistons. They're going to be a playoff basketball team this year after being the
They
worst
will
team
finish
ever.
higher than the Bucks. They will finish as a 4
Yes.
seed. Book it, ship
Yeah.
it.
I could see that. So it's like I want to give credit where it's due there, but like the Pacers don't impress me. The Bucks don't really impress me. I don't agree with their trades that they made at the end of the at the end of the trade deadline.
Yeah, Kuzma does not make them a better basketball team.
No.
And
I
this
don't
is
believe
coming
that-
from a guy who once said Kyle Kuzma is his favorite NBA player.
Yeah,
That's true.
at one time I did say that.
Yep, Kyle did too.
It was a joke when I said it because he has the same name as me.
Cameron, who is you were a Cody Zeller guy, right?
Of course.
He still is. Yeah. It's not was.
Cody
he
Zeller,
still is.
unfortunately, was recently released from the Houston Rockets after they traded for him at the trade deadline. I personally thought that was a fantastic pickup.
Look, can I be? I gotta say, I might be hopping on the Plum Dog, the Mason Plumlee Plum Dog millionaire.
Okay,
I might be hopping on his train.
but like he's actually good. So
Yeah, but he's Mason Plumlee. You know, I do have a take. I don't know who said it. I don't know what basketball talking head said this at some point recently, but God damn it, when teams, and now the Phoenix has kind of started to figure out how to use Bull, dude can ball. Dude can play basketball.
Hey, Brian, I can
And
tell
I
you who
love
that
it.
was.
I love it. I love
I
it
can
for
tell you
Bull
who
Bull.
I can tell you who the talking head was. It was Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, yeah, he did
Shaquille
say
is
that.
a big Bull believer, and he's been a Bull believer for
As he should be.
years. Yeah,
I'm here for it. I've always been a fan. I thought Bull just people needed to figure out how to. Well, he needed to learn how to actually play basketball as well. But now those both have started to happen, and he's getting real minutes, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
If only he played for a real team that wasn't worse than the Iowa Wolves.
true. They lost the Iowa
Bolsterafu.
Wolves.
True. Bones Highland, my Iowa Wolves king.
Shout out. But yeah, totally trying to get back on track here with the East. Again, outside of the Cavs, no one really impresses me in the East. So I'm very close to just signing and shipping Cavs to the chip this year.
I think there'd be a lot of people saying it's not unreasonable to say that. It's not unreasonable to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron, how much are the Celtics a threat to the Cavs this year? Or are you in Kyle's lane of book it, ship it, Cavs in 6, NBA Finals for them?
Regular season, Cavs have the
Cavs
1
in
seed
4?
locked up.
I didn't say
What?
it. I didn't say it. I just did this.
Yeah,
I just
but
did this.
you just went Taco Fall, basketball, America's Mall. Cavs in 4.
Cavs in full.
So tell me, did you? Yeah, regular season, the Cavs have the 1 seed locked up. I don't think the Celtics are a threat to them there. However, when it does come to the playoffs, this Cavs core has barely had any time in the playoffs. The Celtics core is one of the most playoff experienced cores in the game right now. The Warriors, just Steph,
Draymond.
Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. They definitely have more playoff experience. But this Celtics team has been to at least the conference finals like every single year. So I can absolutely see them upsetting, quote unquote, the Celtics in the playoffs. I do think they are a threat.
That's my one worry when it comes to this Cavs team versus the Celtics. Is just the disparate playoff experience. Remember, if we talked, the Celtics over the past 5 years have the most playoff losses, and I don't know if they have the most playoff wins. I think they do as well. Playoff game wins. They've lived in the playoffs, and that experience is important. Not to say I think the Cavs core is more electric. I think they are more fun basketball to watch. That's not a real stat, but it's something I care about because vibes are supreme in the universe of Ryan Niedenthal. So I like the Cavs team, but that playoff experience is real, and it's going to matter when you're in a game 7, probably in Cleveland, because Cleveland will have the 1 seed. And if there's any team in the East that I think could go in there and steal a game 7 or steal a game 5 to end the series early, it's the Boston Celtics. But let's go ahead. We've talked about the East. Let's have it over the West, because while the East is very top heavy for the most part, the West is a fucking mess. We know who the 1 seed is. It's OKC, and then it's like 2 through 4 or 2 through 5 are kind of all in there, and then 6 through 10 are all 1 game apart. It is a scramble to make it out of, either make it keep in the play-in or to try to make it out of the play-in and get that 6 seed. So I want to talk about who do we think is going to come out as the 6 seed, and more importantly, since the All-Star break, the Lakers are 9-2 in their last 11. They have rocketed, get it because the Rockets fell. They have rocketed up to the 2nd seed in the West. They're not going to be catching Oklahoma City by any means, but they are now firmly planted within that playoff contender tier. Are the Lakers a real threat to Oklahoma City? Cameron, I want to start with you.
Yes. Shout out JJ Redick. He has done such a good job implementing Luka into this offense. Sometimes when you get a star player, they don't know whether to play selfish ball or like how they did when they were leading their previous team, or like, oh, I don't want to upset anyone here, I'm just gonna do whatever they tell me to do. He's done a great job implementing Luka into being the player he can be and the player he was in Dallas. It took a couple of games to get there, but Luka's looked great, other than when he missed all those threes against the Wolves. And again, when it comes to playoff time, playoff experience is a real factor. I think that's the reason why the Thunder lost to the Mavericks last year in the playoffs. And I can absolutely see it happening again to the Lakers in the playoffs. Their defense has just been way better than anyone thought it could be.
Yeah. I saw some stats on this, but I want you to go.
Yeah, their defense has been incredible. LeBron's playing some of the best defense of his career. LeBron is also playing off ball really well. He's shooting over 40% on catch and shoot threes this season. They just have all things going in the right direction for them. And if they do win another championship, I would not be sad. Unless it is the Timberwolves in the conference finals against them, in which case maybe, but well, yeah.
Yeah, this Lakers defense, I saw a stat on it. Their opponents are taking the 3rd most 3-point attempts per game, but they are shooting the 4th worst 3-point percentage. So they are what those numbers mean basically is the Lakers are doing a really good job of getting the people they want to take threes to be taking threes. Specifically, if you look at the Nuggets game that they just played, Russell Westbrook had 8 threes that game, and Christian Braun had 8 threes that game. Those are not players that the Nuggets want taking that many 3-point shots. I think this Lakers defense schematically has taken on a new plan of, we're going to take out your 3-point shooting wings. We're going to make you're not great shooters shoot. And then we're going to hope you don't have a big that can demolish Jackson Hayes on the inside.
And just looking at their personnel, it's so unlikely that this would have been the case. If so, huge shout out JJ Redick. He's great.
I'd love to see how if this continues against teams that have a lot of great 3-point shooting options. I think it could. I just don't know if they go up against a team, say, like the Minnesota Timberwolves when fully healthy, where Jaden can shoot the three, Ant can shoot the three, Dante DiVincenzo can shoot the fucking three, Nah can shoot the three, Nas can shoot the three. Rob Dillingham can do literally everything because he's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's like, how do you have to adjust your defense against a team that's not gonna miss that many threes? I don't know. We'll see. And you're totally correct. JJ Redick has earned the benefit of the doubt at this point. But Kyle, I want you to talk about the Lakers, and then I want you to talk about this 6th seed in the West, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'll keep my take on the Lakers a little shorter here. The one, like, obviously their defense is playing really well, but the one thing that worries me about the Lakers is their height, and especially just like depth with their height. Because Jackson Hayes is their starting center. He's what, 6'9", right? Like 6'9", 6'10", somewhere in there. You look at the OKC Thunder, and they have Isaiah Hardenstein, who should be coming back here soon. You have Chet. You have like these huge guys that eventually they're gonna work their way down in the paint. And not
Kyle
that Jackson
loves
Hayes,
huge guys.
yeah, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Kai loves huge guys,
He
I'm
just
just saying.
loves huge guys.
especially in his bedroom.
Indeed.
No. On the
Oh,
basketball
huge
court.
guy, get under
On
my
the-
sheets. Kyle Springer.
Quote Kyle Springer.
If you find a clip of me saying that, then more power to you. But I'm just saying, like,
AI.
Deep fake incoming.
God damn it. I get it. I think that, like, there's a lot of good teams in the West that have a lot of good height. Like, I mean, you look at the Nuggets and Jokic, as long as he wants to win a basketball game, like, with his pure stature, he will win a basketball game with his pure stature. Granted, I look at the Timberwolves. You can also look at even like the Grizzlies, like Zach Edey. He's not having like a spectacular season, but he's a big dude. Like, he could just run the paint against Jackson Hayes. Like, there's legitimate concerns there. Obviously, if you're forcing the ball out to these bad 3-point shooters, and that's the game that they have to play, then yeah, absolutely. But if it came down to a post v post, Jackson Hayes is not going to win against these top teams. So that's what worries me, is even getting to a point to actually, if they end up as the 2 seed as they are right now, if they get to the conference finals against the Thunder, like, they're gonna have to go through a lot of big teams. So it's gonna be tough. In terms of the 6th seed, like you said, they're all within a game of each other. And I don't see the Warriors being in this like spot for much longer. I Not that the Rockets are like falling by any means, but obviously they've fallen from the 2 seed that they were in earlier this season. I think that they end up in the 6-7 range because the Warriors have been on a tear. Because they're 8-2 in their last 10 games. Granted, I think they lost one, just won one, but like, since the Jimmy Butler trade, they've looked pretty good. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't fully believe in them, and they're looking dangerous. They're looking sneaky. They're looking good. So I could see them sneaking out of this like shootout that's down there and jumping above the Rockets, and then these Rockets are going to be in a bad spot. Granted, it's not going to be like right this second. It's going to be right as we get close to playoffs, like when all of this is really just going to crumble. But I see the Timberwolves sneaking up above the Clippers. I see the Kings even sneaking above the Clippers. Just I feel like the Clippers have kind of lost their mojo as the season has gone on. So
They're the
I wouldn't be.
Clippers.
Yeah, it's the Clippers. I don't expect much from them ever. I definitely don't, unless AD comes back pretty soon and like Gafford comes back healthy soon, and like, granted, the Mavs don't have like bad things about them, but I just don't see them contending long term in this deep West. So I have a feeling that they fall maybe into that 10th seed spot that they're sitting at right now. I don't see the Suns jumping them by any means. So again, just looking at this, like, it's shaky, it's tough. But
the Suns are broken. The Suns are a broken team. Morally, basketball wise, they're a broken team.
But yeah, just like with the teams that are like in that, like, I'm even looking again at the 5 seed, like the 5 through 10, there's gonna be shakeups there. Like, this is not where it's gonna end at the end of the season. There's gonna be a lot of movement.
When it comes to the 6 seed, I believe someone on this podcast has a retrospective that they'd like to do. So, Cameron, if you'd like to say your piece and then go ahead and talk about the 6th seed for us.
I'm so sorry, Jimmy Butler and Mr. Wardell Stephen Curry Jr. I should have been slobbering on your cocks more.
Like me.
My bad, gang. They've been playing really well. Brandon Pajemski, the Cumbucket, Moses Moody have all been playing really well since the Jimmy Butler trade. I don't know if it was just something in the air with Andrew Wiggins or Dennis Schroeder, but getting them out of there, it seemed to do them good.
This is why you guys have to trust my dick riding.
I mean, it makes sense.
It checks out for one, but
that's what you sound like right now.
I don't think that is what I sound like. I don't think
not.
that's what I sound like at all. I think
Not
you're a
even
liar
close.
and a cheater. I think you lied. You lied on this podcast.
How dare you?
This sacred, this hallowed fucking ground. How dare you?
The only thing that we've ever said here is truth, other than you saying that I love huge men, because it's just not true.
No, that was
no.
gospel, motherfucker.
Whatever.
Yeah, I do think that the Timberwolves are going to jump up to the 6th seed. They are getting everyone back from injury. Dante DiVincenzo has been like spectacular since he's come back from
He
injury.
lit the Suns the fuck up.
Julius Randle's only had one game so far, but he was great. The team seemed to have really missed him. I don't know what about his play they missed, but just something about him being out there worked for them really well. And it has worked for them, at least in the calendar year of 2025 prior to his injury. Naz Reid has not been playing super well. Oh well, he'll get over it. Rudy Gobert is about to come back. He's been huge. I am really excited about this Timberwolves future, at least for the rest of the regular season. They do have the easiest schedule in the West, which is definitely going to help. And as long as Anthony Edwards can't get any more technical fouls, because from now on, I believe it's every 2 he gets another suspension.
Every other is a 1 game. Yep.
Yeah. So, and we should not have lost the Jazz, but no,
that was literally
yeah.
That's just an anomaly. I literally wrote in my notes, how the fuck did we lose to the Jazz? But it's because
Yeah.
It's the Minnesota Timber. It's Minnesota sports. We beat teams we shouldn't, and we lose to teams we should.
Yeah,
That is
and
all of Minnesota sports.
losing to the Warriors when they were like in the dumps this season like 3 times definitely has hurt the Wolves, especially looking at the standings right now.
I just want to mention one thing before we jump into
Go
the
ahead.
next thing. I apologize. Bradley Beal is a bitch. Straight up, fuck that guy. I'm mad
Hey,
at him.
Fuck
I hate
Bradley
him.
Beal.
Fuck.
Fuck Bradley
Yeah.
Beal.
You
Been a
can't do that
bitch.
to
Is a
Ant.
bitch. Will continue to be a bitch. Fuck, I
How
hate the
dare
Phoenix
you.
Suns, dude. I hate the
How-
Suns so much. Devin Booker's such a punchable face, too. God, I hate the Suns.
Also, I saw something today. There was a tweet from like a year and a half ago at this point where it was like Devin Booker is like 8-2 or 8-1 against Ant, and then since that tweet, Ant is 7-0 against the Suns.
Mhm.
So Ant is just chronically online like the rest of us, and saw that and he was like, "Nah, fuck that. Like,
Yep.
it's not happening
Yep.
again." Love that guy.
Mhm.
Love Ant. No scandals, no issues whatsoever.
No off the court issues.
No.
whatsoever. Definitely
Get an
not.
abortion.
Get the abortion. If you're gonna say,
No,
get it
send
right.
a video. Send a video.
Send a video was the first one. This second
Yeah,
one
the
is
other
get
one.
the abortion.
Oh,
Get
that's
the
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
abortion.
Mhm.
You got to keep up
He
on
said,
your.
I ain't
my
ready
bad,
for
my
that
bad.
shit when he doesn't have 4 kids already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just posted celebrating one's 1-year-old birthday.
Mhm.
I ain't ready for that.
But as we go ahead and look to the future, let's take a look at some big matchups this coming weekend. We're going to go ahead and start with the Lakers, one of the premier rivalries in the history of the association. The Los Angeles Lakers heading into TD Garden and taking on the Boston Celtics. Cameron, I want to start with you. While you do this, I'm going to try to find the line, but go ahead. Lakers at Boston. Who you got?
Boston, and I don't know, they've been really good as of recently. I know you hate to see it, but Jason Tatum has been outstanding. He's been putting up huge numbers every game, and the Celtics have been winning. I can see them keeping their streak alive at home. This season they are 19-11 at home. Oh, they actually have a better away record. My bad, gang. Um, I don't know. I can see them winning here.
All right, so it looks like for all of these coming games, there are no lines out yet.
Okay, yeah, just give me Boston.
All right,
I don't know.
Boston.
I don't remember our record from last time since that was 2 weeks ago, but we'll figure it out going forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. It's tough because I always feel like LeBron specifically has something out for the Celtics, and he plays just a little extra during those games. I think it was last year, or maybe it was the year before, where it was like Pat Bev with the camera. Like, just in general, the stakes are higher for LeBron when he plays the Celtics. He's really bought in on this Lakers culture of fuck the Celtics. So I see him turning it up a little bit in this game. I know it won't be the game where he hits 50,000 career points because he's just 1 point away. But I know he's, obviously kind of riding on that and trying to, elevate that career accolade even further. And then just in general, like the Lakers are hot right now. Not that the Celtics aren't, but the Lakers are hot right now. And I don't see it stopping in Boston by any means. So I think I'm going to take the Lakers on this one.
Give me the Lake Show. Give me the Lake Show. They're hot.
Mad about
they're
it.
also winning a lot of games recently.
Ayo.
My sunshine Lapuki Bear has been playing some of the best basketball he's been playing for the last 5 years because he no longer has to be the guy on the team because Anthony Davis refused to be the guy on the team. Now it's Luka. LeBron can play off of Luka. And the Celtics are the Celtics. Their fans are racist. I don't like them. And they also employ Jason Tatum. So that's 0 for 3. Give me the Lake Show. Let's go ahead. Moving back to the West. I know the Lakers are in the West, but both these teams are in the West, and that's more West. We've got the Denver Nuggets heading to Oklahoma City to take on the Thunder, a battle for the top end of the Western Conference. Denver is currently jockeying for position in that 2 through 4 range, where they're all kind of tied up. OKC is 10 games ahead of all of them, so the potential loss here doesn't really mean much for OKC, but Denver is counting every win right now. So Kyle, I want to head to you. Denver at OKC. Tell me who you got.
I'm leaning towards the Thunder here. Obviously this is going to be a ginormous battle. It's going to be really close, very hard fought. I just see the Thunder depth kind of getting to the Nuggets. We saw a little bit of that with some of the more recent games with the Nuggets. Just in general, it seems like their secondary unit isn't, not that they're not all there, but it doesn't seem that they are playing the high level basketball that we've seen them play literally less than 2 years ago when they won the chip. It just doesn't feel like Nuggets basketball right now. Whereas the Thunder,
Zeke Najee's ass, unfortunately.
Yeah. So for the Thunder, they have that cohesion, and that's been the cornerstone of their franchise for the past 2 years is this team dynamic. And they're just this huge depth roster. Everything about it is clicking on all cylinders right now. So it's in OKC. The Nuggets aren't doing the hottest right now. The Thunder are. It's a recipe for success for OKC in this game.
Hold up 1 second. Breaking news here at Bisportuals, just to let you all know. Kyrie Irving, they don't know how long he will be out, but he has sprained his left knee in getting blown out by the Kings tonight.
Damn.
So
that's no good.
Dallas may be without Kyrie Irving for a little bit.
Yeah, that knocks him out of the play-in, honestly. I have to take it back for saying that I don't see the Suns jumping him. I see the Suns jumping him.
Yeah, the Suns are 3.5 games behind Dallas. I don't know who Dallas goes to right now for any offense.
Cam Christie, Jaden
Yeah.
Hardy.
It's not Kyrie.
It's not AD.
But after that breaking news, let's get back to the topic at hand. Denver heading into OKC. Cameron, are you also taking Oklahoma City here?
No, I'm going to take the Denver Nuggets.
Really?
Guess what, Kyle? You said the Nuggets have been looking down recently.
Vibes are
I
down.
think you only watched that Lakers game. They are 7-3 in their last 10. All of their pieces who started the year off slow have been clicking. Julian Strother has been shooting the ball pretty well. Jamal Murray has on a heater. Even Michael Porter Jr. is hitting some shots that he wasn't hitting earlier in the year. Christian Brown is in most improved player conversations. I know you hate him, but he's been great. And I believe there was a little team called the Minnesota Timberwolves that recently exposed pretty easily how to beat the Thunder. And that's get the ball out of Shea's hands, which I believe the Nuggets have the ability to do.
Let's be clear.
Give me Denver.
Because you're talking about Denver has been hot recently.
Yeah.
Since the end of January, the Thunder have lost to one team.
Yeah.
And it's the Minnesota Timberwolves. Since then, they have beaten everybody.
Have they played any teams as good as the Nuggets?
They beat the Bucks were kind of out. They beat the Grizzlies.
They beat the Rockets today.
They beat the Rockets. But the Rockets are both the Grizzlies are better than the Rockets. Why are you airing the Grizzlies? The Grizzlies are right there.
The Nuggets are better.
They're right there.
The Nuggets are on a different tier in terms of who I would trust to be able to stop the Thunder.
All right. I'm going to take the Thunder here because if your name is not the Minnesota Timberwolves, you can't beat them since January. And I don't see that trend breaking. I look at the names and for the Thunder, all of the names that aren't Timberwolves one time have a little W next to them. Or Timberwolves two times have a little W next to them, which means guess what? They win games.
Well, yeah, so do the Nuggets.
The Rockets are doing better in terms of their last 10 because they're 8-2 in their last 10, and the Nuggets are 7-3. 8 is bigger than 7, Cameron.
I still think the Wolves found a way to stop the Thunder by being able to beat them twice in such short succession. And if any team is going to be able to replicate that success, it's a team as skilled as the Nuggets.
If any team is going to be able to adapt to that, I think it's the Thunder. They got beat. I think the Thunder looked at that first loss in Minnesota as, okay, sometimes you drop one. And then the second one where they, in OKC where they lost, I think the Thunder probably, Mark Daigneault probably looked at that and was like, oh, they've exposed a flaw in our system. The dude's going to win Coach of the Year this year. It's either him or Ime Udoka.
Kenny Atkinson.
It is Kenny Atkinson. It's Kenny Atkinson.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But Mark Daigneault is
JB
like
Bickerstaff
top 3.
after him.
Who's JB Bickerstaff coach?
Pistons.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. But you don't think that they're going to be able to adjust? I do
think they're going to be able to. I trust the Nuggets here, and I have a gut feeling they're going to win, and that's why I picked them. So this is partially my podcast, and I'm going to use my free speech that Elon Musk bestowed upon me and say that I think the Nuggets are going to beat the Thunder.
Let's go ahead. Let's pivot from the West. We're heading back to the East. A showdown of top-end teams in the East, although one of them is in a different tier of being the top end. We have the Cleveland Cavaliers heading into Milwaukee to take on the Bucks. Cameron, do the Bucks stand a chance here?
I will just say one thing to the podcast that show off my thoughts about this game. One of these teams employs Kyle Kuzma, who commented, "So cool," under an Elon Musk video of JD Vance, and the other team does not employ Kyle Kuzma.
That is true.
I am going to have to lean towards a team that does not employ Kyle Kuzma.
I think in most cases, that's a
It's a
flawless
winning
argument.
bet. It's a winning
Does
bet,
your team
honestly.
employ Kyle Kuzma?
So cool, Elon. I want to see you and JD Vance like lick each other's feet.
Yeah, it looks like currently the injury report as of right now, there's about 6 days to almost a week from recording until this game is played. Bobby Portis is out.
He did drugs.
Because of the drugs.
Yeah.
Kyle Kuzma and Giannis are currently considered game time decisions for their next game. So it's no guarantee that they're going to be in full playing shape to take on the Cavs. So Kyle,
I might already just write that as a schedule loss and sit them.
Very much so. You very well could do that. Kyle, are you following the same logic of do you employ Kyle Kuzma, then take the L?
That's one of the 3 stats I'm looking at. So the first stat is, do you employ Kyle Kuzma? And the Bucks is yes, the Cavs is no. The second stat I'm looking at is their last 10 games. The Bucks are 7-3, which is pretty decent, but the Cavs are 10-0 in their last 10 games. And then the third stat I'm looking at is their conference matchups or in conference matchups. The Bucks are currently 25-16 in conference matchups, and the Cavaliers are 33-7. They have not lost more than 10 in conference games this year. So
they've lost 10
more
games.
than 10 games.
They've
this
10
year.
games
yeah,
all
they've
year.
only lost 10 games. Yeah, exactly. Just in general, the Cavs are that damn good. Cavs by a billion.
I'm surprised you didn't talk about Dame being washed as part of that analysis.
No, that's an overarching theme that just rings
That's
true
already
for
a
all of my
given
opinions.
when Kyle's talking about the Bucks. Yeah.
Yeah, that goes without
Just
saying.
assume it's coming from Dame is wash glasses, even if it's
Um,
not about Dame.
I flew to Toronto to get tattoos, and that's actually the third secret tattoo that I got was Damus washed on my ass cheek because that's where he belongs.
That's
Show me
where
right now.
that's what all the big guys are going to see that you bring in the bedroom.
Yeah.
God, fuck you. No.
No, one time
Boo.
Kyle told me I love big guys in my bedroom under the covers. They make me feel warm at night.
When did this happen?
I can confirm. Third party
Wait,
confirmation.
when were both of you there?
What do you mean?
Dude,
this
this was
didn't
right
happen.
You don't
before we
remember
recorded the
that?
show. This is
No,
like
you-
you
It was
said
at the
that.
crazy event
You
that was
said that.
tonight.
You said that, and then
I'm right down the barrel here. I'm right down the barrel here. This did not happen. This
It
has
was
not
at the
happened.
crazy
This is
event we
facts.
went to.
I do want to point out one stat for this Cavs Bucks game is that the Cavs have been really good on the road. The Bucks have been really good at home. The Cavs have been 22-6 on the road. The Bucks are 20-9 at home. So they're not that far apart on their home away records.
CAPS.
But-
Cavs.
I don't think the Bucks. I don't think anyone can deal with the Cavs, much less the Milwaukee Bucks. So yeah, give me the Cavs. Give me the Cavs here. And finally, let's go ahead. It would not be an episode of Bisportuals without a classic segment. The one, the only, Cameron Gertensen with his album of the week. Go ahead, Cameron. What have you got for us this week?
So last week I was bored at work, had literally nothing to do, so I decided to compile a list of all the albums I think are 10 out of 10s. I got to a list of 20 albums, and one of the albums that cracked onto this list that I don't think gets enough love is Kevin Abstract's American Boyfriend, A Suburban Love Story. It's technically his second studio album, even though it's seen regularly as his first. His first one, MTV 1987, is not available on streaming services anymore, and it wasn't released under a label, which is why some people don't consider it. It was released a few months after Brockhampton's debut EP, All American Trash, Kevin Abstract obviously being the frontman of Brockhampton. This album features productions from Brockhampton members Joba, Romeel, and Bareface, with Bareface being the only vocal feature on this album. Great feature, by the way. I'll get to that. This is like an indie pop, alternative hip hop album that plays out sort of like an auditory scrapbook of his time at high school in Texas. Every song has a different vibe and a different track length. There are some that are as short as 20 seconds and go up to like 5 minutes. yeah, there are a lot of themes that are touched on the album, including loneliness, self-isolationism, friendship, happiness, and Kevin's own journey with discovering and accepting his sexuality, and also how he deals with the reactions of people around him to that part of his identity. It's incredibly personal, which I find very endearing and powerful. And yeah, I know having a Brockhampton phase is a joke, but I definitely had one. They were one of the first concerts I went to. I was like making Spotify accounts in other countries or downloading sketchy mega files to listen to their albums like 12 hours early. And they were a big part of my music journey, at least in high school. As I said earlier, this is one of the few 10 out of 10 albums that I've heard, but I wanted to shout out a couple standout tracks. The first track, Empty, was the lead single. It has kind of a weird beat with like a staccato piano line driving the song along and some horns, but the chorus is just super memorable and super catchy. The next track, 17, has beautiful production. It's got some cool drums and electronic synth line that pops in and out with the different phases of the song. It changes so rapidly, but so like fluidly. Yellow was another single leading up to the release of the album, and it sounds sort of like the sound he has in Blanket, his newest studio album. So if you like that song, I would suggest checking out that album. Pretty good song. Runner has a cool beat switch. The guitar line in the second half is super cool, fun, brings the song along really well. Earworm. My favorite song in the album, Miserable America, was another single. He talks about his experience as being both a black man and a gay man living in the South, and how not only was he struggling to accept his own identity, some of the people around him would only accept like one part of that identity, and that was a big part of his experience growing up. I thought it was pretty powerful, and the song just sounds great. American Boyfriend, the title track, as I mentioned, has a feature from Bareface of Brockhampton, who needs to release solo music as soon as possible. He's great. Finally, the last song, I Do, End Credits, is a great outro, and it sounds like some of my favorite Kevin moments in the Saturation trilogy of Brockhampton albums, where he has sort of a high-pitched voice. And just like 40 seconds in, when it breaks down into like the chorus, that's just so fun. And I like to yell that in the car when I'm listening to it. Okay, yeah. What'd you guys think?
Can I go real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my first introduction to this album specifically was actually off of something that the three of us, along with our friend Joey, did this summer. Was with we all made a bracket of our favorite songs and shared them with each other, and we all filled out each other's brackets. And Cameron had Miserable America on his bracket, and it was one of the most painful first round cuts I had to make, because it was going up against Family Ties, which is one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yes.
But Miserable America, there are a few songs that have entered my rotation, and some of them then kind of faded out a little bit. Miserable America has stuck. It's a beautiful song. It's a great song. I can't shout out that track highly enough. It's not on my it's for sure not on my gym playlist, but it makes its rotations around my
boyfriend
playlist.
saved me. My mother's homophobic. I'm stuck in the closet. I'm so claustrophobic.
Yeah, that's just great to bench out a PR to, you
But
know.
we all love Young Thug.
It's true.
But that's
He does say that on the song.
That's
but
my
like way better than I can, with way more
my
swag.
shout out. That's my shout out.
For me, the title track, American Boyfriend, I'm just looking at the Spotify streams right now. It has 28,338,858. I think I'm like 58 of those. Just like me personally, I love that song. It's so great. That duo with Bareface. I agree with Cameron. Bareface needs solo music like 3 years ago. I want it so bad. I want it so bad. Bareface is amazing. I love how Kevin uses him on that song. And just in general, like it, I can't rave enough about the album. There's a lot of just great. Obviously, there's a couple shorter like transition tracks. But even those, like, if you listen to the
There's
album
still
top down,
something cool.
Yes.
Sonic.
yes, it's like they don't feel like transition songs. Like, even though they are, like, looking at it, they are. It doesn't feel like it. Kevin does a very great job producing this album and making it a journey, and telling the
Yeah.
story that he wants to tell. So just in
That's
general,
why I
like,
said it kind of feels like a scrapbook.
Mhm.
I don't know if you
Uh,
get that vibe as well.
yeah. I see where, like, the path goes. Like, it's not obviously linear, but like, the way that he weaves the story together within the album is done very strategically and very pleasantly, I would say. So yes, I absolutely agree with Cam. I would argue this is a 10 out of 10 album.
Well, that's 3 ringing endorsements. Oh, wonderful selection, Cameron. Thank you again for sharing. Thank you all for taking the time out of your day, spending it with us. We hope you have a wonderful Friday if you're listening to this on release. We hope you have a wonderful weekend if you're listening during the weekend. And if you're listening to it, we hope you have a wonderful weekend.
And Dune 2 snubbed at the Oscars.
True. I didn't even watch it, but true.
I apparently have the one hot take that I liked the first one more than the second Dune.
Absolutely not.
I thought
I don't know.
Dune...
The story was so much better in Dune 2.
Yeah, but it had less Oscar Isaac.
Well, yeah, he was dead.
Yeah, I fucking love Oscar Isaac. He's
Well, then just watch the sequel Star Wars trilogy then.
Yeah. I will watch anything Oscar Isaac is hot in, which is a lot of Oscar Isaac stuff, especially the first Dune movie. God, he's so... It's hard to be hotter than Paul Atreides. Oscar Isaac, Leto Atreides, smoke show. Undebatable.
Timothy is mogging
undeniable.
everyone.
No, he's great. I love Tim Champagne, but Oscar
Related
Isaac,
to Justin and Julian Champagne.
truly. With all that, thank you so much for watching. We hope you have a wonderful weekend, whatever time it is. We hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye? Huh? Who the fuck are you?